Welcome to the Times Are Changing podcast. My name is Chase. I am joined here with Zach. We are the COO and CEO of Golden Aspect. This is a podcast about cutting-edge strategies in digital and social media marketing.
In today's episode, we discuss the recent updates to LinkedIn, including stories and a huge surge of new users, along with how best to take advantage of the platform. Without any further ado, let's jump right in.
One thing we've noticed across the board recently is that social media has begun to intersect the business world at an increasing rate in the past couple of years specifically. And no platform on social media favors business more than LinkedIn. Obviously, the entire purpose of LinkedIn is centered around business. And obviously, with everything that's been happening with COVID-19, people being laid off of work, being home, LinkedIn's seen a huge surge of users. We're going to talk about the specific numbers in a bit. But with all of that happening, LinkedIn's decided to take advantage of this opportunity to really make a concerted effort and a concerted push to secure its place in your daily routine, your daily social media routine. Because often LinkedIn is one of those platforms that, people go on when they're looking for a job or, once in a while, but it's not something that they go to sort of instinctively like they do for Instagram or Facebook. So while obviously right now, LinkedIn's still sort of a different platform than those, they're really trying to make a push to make themselves a bit more relevant and a bit more engaging. And the unique opportunity of this is that it still has that business twist to it. So from a personal branding and from a business perspective, there's a real opportunity right now to connect with thought leaders in your industry and to also become potentially a thought leader yourself by growing your overall network and the legitimacy of yourself and your business. So in this episode, we want to talk about all of this and some really important and really interesting updates that LinkedIn's pushed out recently that not a lot of people are talking about.
So this increasing push towards business in social media is obviously something that we have talked about extensively on this podcast and through our newsletter. Everything we talk about on here is basically through the lens of business and building a brand through social media. But on the mainstream social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, a lot of times you see us sort of fighting an uphill battle in those situations as a business because all of those social media platforms are specifically tailored towards people. We've talked about this in previous episodes about like personal branding with your business in tandem on Instagram and on Facebook and that kind of stuff. But there is a specific advantage to LinkedIn, and it is that it is focused towards those businesses on a base level. And this is something that you don't see on any other social media platforms. You don't have to fight that same uphill battle on LinkedIn as a business. So these changes that they're making, this massive influx of users that they're seeing, this is all very advantageous to the business side of social media.
Yeah, I think LinkedIn's really trying to step up their game, and they understand that people are recognizing the value of having their business involved with what they're doing on social media. It's a really sort of organic way. It feels much more organic on LinkedIn because of how everything that you post is tied to yourself and your business in a way that it's not on other platforms. And so LinkedIn's really been trying to capitalize on the value that people get from doing that sort of networking. And I think that especially just with the general rise of social media, the general sort of acceptance of doing business over social media, specifically over a platform like LinkedIn, has just become a lot more real. I mean, I can just say from our experience with current clients that LinkedIn is a very legitimate platform when it comes to driving business, whether it's in the messages or even the comment section. There's a real opportunity to connect with people on there. And I think that what LinkedIn's doing right now with some of these updates is really pushing people to engage there even more, which is only going to further the opportunities that are available when pushing your personal brand and your business and posting on LinkedIn.
So LinkedIn has always been sort of the business platform, right? Everybody always thinks of LinkedIn like, oh, I lost my job, I need to find a new one. Let's go look on LinkedIn. I'll apply to some jobs. I'll put my resume up. But it's not necessarily been a social media platform that people are frequenting on a day-to-day basis, and that is what we see as sort of what LinkedIn is looking to change with some of these new changes that they're implementing to their platform. So like we mentioned, with COVID, a lot of people are losing their jobs. We saw an over 26% rise in sessions for LinkedIn just for quarter two of 2020, significant increase in overall posting and interactions on the platform, and a rise to over 690 million total users. So LinkedIn is really trying to sort of cash in on this opportunity and start changing their platform to be more tailored towards people's everyday usage while still providing the advantages for businesses that you don't see on other platforms.
So it's actually really interesting to note that I don't think a lot of people realize is 690 million is actually a lot. It's like double what Twitter has right now. So LinkedIn has sort of quietly been growing a lot more than people actually realize. And to go back to this sort of push to keep people engaged on a daily basis, LinkedIn just launched their own stories feature. And this is huge because basically the entire purpose of stories is to keep people engaged on a daily basis. Obviously, stories working quite similar to how they do on every other platform, only available for 24 hours. Obviously, that whole idea is to keep people on there daily because stories only last for a day. It's keeping people to come back, see what's new. There's always going to be sort of fresh content up there in the form of stories. And so I think that's a really clear sign of what LinkedIn is trying to do. And with that big user base, I have to say that there's quite the potential here. And I'm very curious to see what's going to happen moving forward with this implementation of the stories feature and how things play out.
Yeah, it's really obvious that LinkedIn is trying to take advantage of the growth features of interpersonality and person-to-person connections through a social media platform. So things like stories are a perfect example of, like Chase said, a way to keep people engaged on a day-to-day basis, people interacting with other people. This is something that we've seen work immensely at massive scale on other platforms. So this is what LinkedIn is really trying to take advantage of with this here. They've also implemented and completely redesigned their direct messaging platform to be able to include video chat and audio messages, much like you would find in these competing social media platforms or even just on iMessage. So again, they're making this push to include the interpersonality aspect of these other social media platforms while still maintaining their focus on business. And that's why there's a really unique opportunity here with LinkedIn implementing these different interpersonal features.
They've also made some changes to their search algorithm to make it easier to find more relevant stuff such as competitors, potential partners, other people. But really to go back to the whole stories feature, which I think is critical to this update, it clearly shows that LinkedIn's trying to personalize their platform a bit. They're trying to sort of maintain that business aspect, but add in a bit more of the day-to-day personal elements. And I think that's really why stories potentially could be a big thing for LinkedIn if they pick up. But on that note, I do have to say that while LinkedIn stories right now are big opportunity for people because obviously having the opportunity to put yourself at the top of someone's feed is a huge opportunity to boost engagement, and you should definitely be taking advantage of these. However, the customization options right now are pretty limited, and I have to say that's definitely going to hinder the value of stories, and I really hope that moving forward, LinkedIn does add in some new features because like if you go on Instagram, there's so many different things you can add into that story to add call to actions, add swipe up links, add locations, direct message options. Like if you go to LinkedIn, basically all you have is text and what are called stickers, but the stickers themselves aren't very interactable. And so the problem with this is that they're kind of limited in terms of what you can really do if someone connects with your story, right? There's a lot less opportunity to sort of generate any sort of conversion off of your story like you can on other platforms. So, I think it's definitely a really good step in the right direction. I'm hoping that down the line, LinkedIn does add in additional features. I don't know if this has anything to do with sort of copyright or what goes into, copying a feature these days. But I think that one thing LinkedIn should definitely do is add additional story options, because I think right now it's kind of limited, but that's not to say that you shouldn't take advantage of it, because obviously it's still a big thing right now, but I hope that down the line it becomes even more of a valuable tool on the platform.
This episode of the Times Are Changing podcast is brought to you by our business, Golden Aspect. We're a digital media and marketing company that gives you one contact for everything social media. From brand strategy to content creation, we've got you covered.
We emphasize high-touch, strong client relationships, and fully integrated marketing approaches. Each of our marketers are proficient in every service we offer and are reachable 7 days a week by text or call. This reliable communication and interaction with your business ensures your contact will be equipped to handle anything you need, anytime you need it.
One, two.
So everything that we just mentioned in part one, LinkedIn's push to increase these interpersonal features on their platform, their increasing user base throughout the time of COVID, and their attention and facility of use with business on social media compared to other platforms, sort of comes together to create a perfect storm right now for you as a businessman or a brand to really take advantage of LinkedIn and open some doors for you that you may not have had access to before.
There's a real opportunity right now on LinkedIn to make yourself a thought leader in your specific industry. Because basically the goal of LinkedIn, or your goal as someone on LinkedIn, is to build a following and build credibility around yourself and therefore your business, right? And so one of the big things about LinkedIn that's kind of cool and similar to Twitter is that you can really get your posts on LinkedIn to actually kind of go viral. There's a really native sharing feature to LinkedIn. And so if you're putting out quality content in a specific niche, over time, some of your posts are going to generate high levels of engagement, and that's going to further boost your following. And what you're going to be able to do over time is really grow an audience of people who are following you because of the content that you put out related to that industry. So this is really, really good for people that aren't industry hopping. If you're really kind of consistent, you're knowledgeable about a specific industry, you can write a lot of different things. There's tons of different things you can write about. But over time, if you stay consistent with this, you're going to become a thought leader and someone that people really look up to. And this is going to open up a ton of doors for you personally and for your business. This is kind of a dual thing. A lot of times we talk about, business and personal brands separately, but this is actually, LinkedIn's an opportunity to sort of do both at the same time. And that's what's really cool about it.
It's important to note that the audience on LinkedIn is different than what you're going to find on other social media platforms. So like we said, and like we've been saying, that it's much more business focused on LinkedIn. So the content and the type of stuff that you're posting on Instagram and on Facebook probably isn't going to be the best fit to be posting to the potential audience on LinkedIn. However, with that said, like Chase said, if you're not industry hopping and you are knowledgeable about what you do in your industry, this is the kind of value that you can provide to people on LinkedIn that will gain you traction and that will set you on a track to become one of those thought leaders in a specific industry. Think about what you can do to really share value with your followers. Think about your general knowledge and experiences from the industry that you work within. Think about tips and tricks, things to avoid. Your failures are a tremendous area to dive into and talk about. Tell stories of mistakes that you've made and things that you've learned so that other people in your industry may be able to take something away from that and not make the same mistakes that you did. Just think about how you could provide value to people who are essentially trying to do the same thing that you've already done.
You could totally do things also like, speculate about things that you expect to happen in the future, things up and coming in your industry that might be interesting to people, or just sort of responding to an interesting article that you stumbled across. Just in general, put out content just like any other platform that people find interesting, but specifically with that business twist, because when people are on LinkedIn, they got a little bit more of that professional mindset. They're looking for some sort of valuable insights. And if that's what you're putting out, people are really going to resonate with that. And just to make sure that you're getting some extra engagement, don't forget to add in relevant hashtags at the end of each post. Generally on LinkedIn, because it's not as crowded with hashtags, you want to use more general ones. So instead of using something really specific, use more general ones, like hashtag automotive industry or hashtag, clothing, fashion, stuff like that. More general hashtags tend to do a bit better on LinkedIn, but definitely add those at the end of your posts because that will help your discovery and get in the eyes of, some newer people, which is what you want to do with every post. And additionally, you can really dive into this new stories feature as well, because like I said, getting people to interact on a daily basis is what you want. Posting articles or posting stuff every day can be a bit difficult, but posting up a story, whether it's just telling people about the post that you made or just some sort of quick insight or something interesting, this is a great way to easily keep posting content on a daily basis, which is really the best thing you can do, is just stay as consistent as possible, especially because of how the LinkedIn algorithm works. It really prioritizes posts sort of a couple weeks later, and that sort of adds, like I mentioned, the virality. LinkedIn is just a really weird platform. Like a lot of your engagement on these posts will come sort of weeks later, but the value of stories is really that you can get that sort of the day of, and push your more loyal followers to sort of interact with whatever it is you're posting about.
We actually did an entire episode on stories and how to fully take advantage of them, and basically just what to do, what to post for stories. A lot of that is going to maintain consistent when it comes to the new LinkedIn stories feature. So if you want some more information on just specifically how to navigate stories in general, I'd recommend that you do go check out that episode from us as well. But yeah, over time, stay consistent and focus on providing that value. Your audience and your engagement is going to start to build on itself once you get to a certain point.
If you stay consistent, you will see results, and one of the best ways to get started is just start connecting with people that you know, friends that you have, or people that you know are going to recognize your connection request, right? And you want to connect with people on a consistent basis, but also definitely when you're starting out, start with people that you know. Don't reach out to people that don't have any idea who you are. Because if you can build a solid network of, a couple hundred, even just a couple hundred friends or acquaintances that you have in your industry, and you start posting content, a lot of those people are really going to interact with it, and they're going to like it, and they're going to share it. And over time, that's going to build a broader base. So start with what you have. Start small. Start with people that you know are really going to engage with what you're posting. And then as you grow, you'll start to be followed, and get a lot of connection requests from people that you don't know. And at that point, you're really going to start building up your credibility, and really try to become, a thought leader. Because ultimately, if you get to that position, it's an incredibly powerful place to be in. And it's gonna give you huge benefits personally and for your brand. And so right now on LinkedIn, especially as they're really pushing to become a platform that people use on a daily basis, this is a great time to be taking advantage of that, because as the platform grows in popularity, you want to be one of those first people that's already there, because as more and more people go, it's going to become harder and harder to actually gain any sort of awareness. And I think right now there still is a pretty good opportunity if you are posting consistently. I don't see enough people taking advantage of it. So if you're in a position to jump into LinkedIn right now, I have to say that this would be one of the best times I've seen to do so.
And that's about where we're going to wrap things up for today. Make sure you follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. We upload weekly episodes every Tuesday. If you are interested in reading our newsletter, please visit our website at goldenaspect.com/timesarechangeing. Once again, that is goldenaspect.com/timesarechangeing. Thank you all so much for listening to this edition of the Times Are Changing podcast, and we will see you all next week. If you enjoyed listening to this week's podcast, please check us out on social media, Instagram at Golden Aspect Media. If you want to learn more about what our company can do for your business, please check out our website at goldenaspect.com. We offer everything from brand strategy to digital ad campaigns to boots on the ground content production.
If you made it this far and you're looking for some help, just send us a message or give us a call. We're ready to help.